The day before the wedding, Anya walked happily toward her fiancé's house, her heart light with hope and dreams. But just as she reached the door, a strange conversation caught her ear, his voice, low and tense, speaking with his parents. She froze, unable to tear herself away. What she heard wasn't meant for her ears, and it shook her to the core. Anya stood before the grand mirror in the bridal salon, disbelief flooding her as she gazed at the snowy white dress with its delicate lace corset and flowing train. She looked like a true princess. "Mom, look," she whispered, grabbing her mother's hands. "Remember how I dreamed of a wedding like this when I was a child?" Her mother smiled warmly, adjusting the photo frame nearby. "Of course, dear. You said you'd only marry a prince." "I did." Anya laughed softly. "And Dennis is my prince. We've been together for 3 years, and every day he shows me he loves me." Her mother's eyes glistened. "Tomorrow, you'll be the happiest girl in the world." Anya nodded, clutching her hands to her chest, her heart pounding with excitement, and joy so strong she feared it might burst from happiness. On the drive home, her mother checked the list of last-minute preparations. Flowers ordered, cake ready, musicians confirmed, the restaurant set for 40 guests. "And the honeymoon?" she asked. "Dennis wants it to be a surprise," Anya replied. "He says it'll be unforgettable." "Good man, you're Dennis," her mother said, smiling, serious and responsible. "His father respects him." Anya watched the familiar streets, but suddenly an unsettling feeling crept in. Everything seemed perfect. Dennis loved her, their parents were happy, and the future looked bright. Yet, a quiet voice whispered inside her, "Too good to be true." She pushed the thought away. "It's just nerves before the big day. Every bride feels this way." But why then did her hands tremble? Why was there a chill in her chest? "Tomorrow, I'll be the happiest woman alive," she told herself firmly. But inside, silence answered. At home, Anya carefully hung the dress in the closet, running her fingers over the silky fabric. Tomorrow, she would walk down the aisle in it. "Anya, are you ready for married life?" her mother asked while folding the bed linens. "We've talked everything through," Anya said. "Dennis wants children, so do I. We'll live in his apartment until we get a bigger one. I'll work at my dad's company for a while. Then we'll see. Dennis says he can take care of us." Her mother nodded approvingly. "Your father found you a good man. The apartment is in your name, the car is new, and there's money saved for the start." "But I don't need any of that," Anya said, softly. "All that matters is we love each other." She sat on the bed and suddenly remembered the strange moments of recent months. Dennis sometimes didn't answer her calls for hours. "Busy," he'd say. She had caught him several times, quickly hiding his phone when she came near. "Work stuff," he'd explain. Then there were his late nights with friends every single week, a men's group, he said. She understood, but why did her heart twist with worry? Why did he never say "I love you" first? He only replied when she confessed, and his constant nickname "My Sunshine" felt like a fragile shield hiding something else. "Stop it," she scolded herself. "You're imagining problems where there are none. He's proposed, he's planning the wedding. Isn't that enough?" But the tiny seed of doubt had already been planted. Suddenly, her phone rang. Anya grabbed it. "Hello, my sunshine." Dennis's voice was warm and tender. "How's the dress?" he asked. "I love it, Dennis. I'm so happy. I can't wait for tomorrow." "Me too, love. I can't believe you'll be my wife. I'm the happiest man alive. And I'm the happiest girl," she whispered. "Are you a little nervous?" he asked. "A bit," she admitted, "but it's a good kind of nervous. The most important thing is that we'll be together forever." "Forever," she echoed, her heart pounding, caught between hope and fear, as the night before. "Forever stretched ahead," Anya repeated quietly, her voice trembling with a strange mix of hope and fear. "How beautifully that sounds." She glanced at her phone. "I'm at my parents' now. Mom's worried, asking about every little detail. Say hi to everyone for me. I'll come by soon. I want to share some good news." "Of course, come any time. We'll be waiting," came the warm reply. Anya hung up and hugged her mother tightly. "Mom, I'm running over to Dennis's for just half an hour. I want to show you how happy I am. Just don't stay too long, sweetheart. Tomorrow's going to be tough. You need your rest." Anya nodded and rushed outside. The walk to Dennis's house took about 10 minutes, winding through the old park where spring air smelled sweet with bird, cherry blossoms and fresh leaves. Neighbors stopped her along the way. "Anya, your big day is tomorrow. We're all so excited." "Thank you, Aunt Cleva. You have to come to the restaurant. We'll celebrate. We wouldn't miss it for the world. Such a beautiful couple you make." Anya smiled, but her mind drifted. How lucky she was to have Dennis, reliable, caring, loving, every day, showered her with compliments and attention. Her parents adored him. The familiar scent of fresh paint greeted her as she reached the entrance of Dennis's building, mingled with the soft purring of Merzik, the cat napping on the windowsill of the ground floor. Anya climbed to the second floor, ready to ring the bell when she heard Dennis's voice from inside. "Mom, why are you worrying? Everything will be fine." She froze, a smile flickering but hesitant, not wanting to interrupt the family conversation. Let the son calm his mother before the big day. "Son, are you really sure about your choice?" Dennis's mother's voice trembled with worry. Mom, I've told you 100 times Anya's like a sister to me. I've grown used to her in 3 years. She's a good girl. Anya's brow furrowed. Like a sister. What did he mean? Did he want to say she was just family now? But did he truly love her? The question lingered, urged by his mother's concern. Dennis laughed, a cold, unsettling sound that sent a chill through Anya. Love, Mom, is a beautiful story in books. In real life, you have to think with your head. You've seen the devotion from her parents, a downtown apartment, a new car, and her father works as a deputy in the city hall. Those connections mean a lot. Anya stood frozen on the stairwell, the world around her crumbling piece by piece. Every word from Dennis struck like a sharp pain in her chest. She's like a sister to me. Sister, 3 years of closeness, kisses, dreams of a future together, and she's a sister. Memories rushed like a storm through her mind. His first, "I love you," spoken so hesitantly she barely heard it. His proposal, the promise of forever. But now, it seemed like a rehearsed speech. Was his tenderness real, or just a brilliant act? Loyalty and connections from a father's influence. No home is built on love alone. So she was just a bargain, a convenient purchase. Her feelings, trust, dreams of family, happiness merely pleasant extras to the deal. Son, what about that girl Karina? You used to date her, right? Dennis's father joined the conversation. Karina just moved back to town. Remember, she left 5 years ago to study. She's beautiful, with dark hair. I was truly happy with her. But Dad, you can't build a home on love alone. Does she know about your wedding? Dennis's mother asked anxiously. She knows and understands the situation. We're seeing each other now. Good she's back, or else I'd be miserable. The worst part was realizing her own blindness. All the signs were right in front of her, but she couldn't see them, didn't want to. She believed the fairy tale she told herself. And now the fairy tale was over. The real life had begun. Your son makes sense. Dennis's father agreed. The family is well off. The girl, well-mannered, with good connections. She'll make a smart wife. And love. Love's something you build over time. And besides, Dennis added, Anya's as simple as a child. Trusting, never suspicious. Karina's smart. She knows what's what. But what if she finds out? His mother persisted. Karina's not a gossip. But Anya, what can she understand? She's believed every word I said for 3 years. Anya closed her eyes tightly, fighting not to collapse. 3 years of lies. 3 years of believing in his feelings, dreaming of a future. And he casually planned to visit Karina the very next morning. Mom, I'm going to see Karina tomorrow morning. We need to finalize things before the wedding. Son, what if she finds out? Meeting another woman on your wedding day. I'll say it's work. Anya doesn't get up early, and her family will be busy. The phone rang in her own apartment. Hello, Karina, it's me. Listen, let's meet tomorrow morning at 9 by the old linden tree in our park where we used to meet. I need to talk. Anya heard Karina speak softly on the other end. Yes, I know the wedding is tomorrow. That's exactly why we need to meet. We need to decide how this will go on. I told you wedding ... It was all just a formality. Yet, I love you, Anya couldn't take it anymore. She quietly turned away, trying not to let her heels click on the stairs as she hurried down. Tears blurred her vision so much she barely saw the steps beneath her. Feet outside. She stopped, gasping for breath. Everything looked the same, the familiar street lamps, the yellow windows glowing warmly in the houses, the neighbors' voices drifting through the night. But her world had changed forever. Anya, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Her neighbor, Aunt Marcia, called softly. Nothing, Aunt Marcia. I'm just nervous about the wedding. Anya lied, her voice trembling. Of course, everyone understands. Every bride gets nervous. Tomorrow everything will be fine. If only she knew. Walking slowly home, Anya replayed the words she had just heard over and over in her mind. Anya is like a sister to me. Dad's connections. I'm happy with Karina. You can't build a home on love alone. Each phrase stabbed her heart like a knife. Karina. Now she remembered. The beautiful girl with dark hair from the parallel class, 2 years older, who left town after school and hadn't been seen until recently. So all this time, while Dennis courted Anya with sweet promises and wedding plans, his heart belonged to someone else, the one he truly loved. At home, Anya went to her room without answering her mother's worried questions. Anya, what's wrong? You look pale. I'm just tired, Mom. It's been a lot to take in today. Go to sleep, sweetheart. Early start tomorrow. Lying in the dark, Anya analyzed every moment of their 3 years together. How blind she had been. The rushed meeting with his parents, his sudden interest in her father's job at the city hall, those offhand questions about dowries and his cold, confused reaction to her tears. No tenderness, only calculated words. Now it all made sense. The terrifying truth was she had been ready to give him everything, her soul, her body, her future, while he bargained, calculated benefits, and planned how to balance a wife and a mistress. Anya, simple and trusting as a child, was nothing more than a commodity to him. Those words burned inside her. He had studied her like a buyer inspects a product, finding weaknesses in her trust, her innocence, and exploiting them. No one would ever use her like that again, never. The clock struck midnight, then 1, then 2. Anya tossed and turned, unable to find peace. Should she cause a scene, expose the truth in front of everyone at the restaurant, or stay silent and pretend to be the happy bride? She stood and looked in the mirror, pale face, eyes red and swollen from crying. Tomorrow, 40 people, family, friends, colleagues would watch her walk down the aisle, celebrating her happiness, but she would know the truth. At 4 a.m., Anya was still awake, sitting by the window, staring at the empty streets. The city slept. Only rare cars broke the silence. Simple as 3 kopecks, she thought bitterly, recalling Dennis's words. Naive as a child, no, she would show him how wrong he was. She opened her closet, grabbed a small travel bag, and packed only what she truly needed. Documents, the money she had saved for the honeymoon. She glanced once more at the wedding dress, how she had dreamed of this day. Now she whispered, "Forgive me, Mom, but I can't marry a man who doesn't love me and who lies to me." Outside, dawn was breaking. Soon her parents would wake. The wedding chaos would begin. Flowers, cars, guests. Anya wrote a short note. "Mom, Dad, I'm sorry. I can't explain, but this wedding won't happen. I love you, Anya." The clock showed 6:30 a.m. At 9, Dennis would visit Karina, and at 4 the wedding would begin, but not with her. Anya picked up her bag and quietly left the house. Ahead lay the unknown, but she could no longer live a lie. Behind her, the home, where her unsuspecting parents still slept, faded into the distance. Ahead was the bus station and a ticket to a new life. She walked the quiet morning streets, clutching her bag tightly. The city was waking. Only a milkwoman on a bicycle jingled past. On any other day, Anya might still be asleep, dreaming of happiness, but today, everything had changed. She stopped at the bus station, studying the schedule. The first bus to the regional center left at 8 a.m. From there, she could reach the capital. Hands trembling, Anya bought a ticket. "On a business trip?" the clerk asked. Anya didn't answer. Her journey was just beginning. The cashier asked curiously, but Anya lied about her reasons. She sat down on a bench in the waiting hall and glanced at the clock. 7 a.m. In just 2 hours, Dennis would head to Karina's place, and by 4 p.m. their wedding was supposed to begin. Anya pulled out her phone and dialed her best friend Lena's number. "Anya, why are you calling so early?" Lena's sleepy voice was filled with surprise. "Listen carefully, Lena. There won't be a wedding." What do you mean?" "I'm leaving town. Tell my parents I'm okay, but I can't marry Dennis." "Anya, are you crazy? What happened? I'll explain later. Take care of yourself." Hanging up, Anya felt her heart tighten painfully. Her parents right now, they were probably frantic, calling hospitals, friends, even the police. Her mother crying, her father restless. They had given her everything: love, care, education, devotion. They'd been preparing for this day for 3 years, and she shattered their dreams with just one decision. "I'm a traitor," Anya thought. "Selfish. How could I do this to the people closest to me?" But another voice inside her argued, "How could I live a lie? Have children with a man that doesn't love me, build a family on deceit? Maybe my parents will understand someday, and if not, isn't truth worth that price?" At 8 a.m. the bus started moving. Anya stared out the window at familiar sights passing by. The school where she studied, Dennis's house, the park where they once walked together. She couldn't believe it. She was really running away from home, from her parents, from her whole life. Her hands trembled. Her mind spun with doubts. What if I'm wrong? What if I misunderstood? What if he could explain everything differently? But then his voice echoed in her memory. "To me, she's like a sister." No, she hadn't been mistaken. For 3 years, she'd lived in a fantasy, and now she had awakened. It was painful, terrifying, unbearable, but honest. She wanted to turn back, to forgive, to forget. It would be easier, more familiar. Her parents happy, a secure future with a well-off husband. Isn't that every girl's dream? But now she knew the true cost of that happiness, and she wasn't willing to pay it. "I'm doing the right thing," she whispered with the rhythm of the wheels. "I'm doing the right thing." Her heart screamed in agony. All of it was now behind her. Half an hour later, the bus stopped at a roadside cafe. Anya stepped out to stretch and overheard a conversation between 2 women. "Remember the daughter who ran away from her own wedding? Right on the day of the ceremony?" "No way." "What happened after?" "A scandal that rocked the entire town. Guests were gathered in the restaurant and the bride was gone." Anya hurried back to the bus. So, everyone already knew. She wondered what chaos was unfolding back home. Meanwhile, in her hometown, a real drama was unfolding. Anya's mother found a note in the early morning. Piotr, wake up quickly," she screamed to her husband. Anya was gone. Her father jumped out of bed, read the note, and turned pale. "We have to call the police," he said. "First, let's call Dennis," her mother suggested. Dennis was planning to visit Karina. The call caught him off guard. "Dennis, is that you?" "It's Anya's mother." "No, what happened?" "She disappeared. Left a note saying the wedding's off." Dennis sank into a chair. A terrifying thought flashed through his mind. What if she heard something? "I'm coming to you right now," he said. "Dennis, did you see her yesterday?" "No, she wanted to stop by, but I was busy." It was true. Anya had wanted to visit, but Dennis was talking to his parents about the wedding at that time. Dennis hurried and went to Anya's parents' house. On the way, He tried to piece together what could have gone wrong. Yesterday, Anya had seemed so happy when she called. The house greeted him with panic. Anya's mother was crying. Her father was calling acquaintances, trying to find his daughter. "Dennis, did you fight with her?" her father asked. "No, we didn't fight. Yesterday she called. She was cheerful, joyful. What could she have heard or seen?" Dennis felt a chill run down his spine. What if she really had come by last night and overheard the conversation with his parents? "I don't know," he whispered. He lied. "Maybe she just got scared. Before the wedding, people get cold feet sometimes. Our sweet Anya isn't a coward." Her mother shook her head in disbelief. "Something's wrong, Dot." At that moment her friend called. "Anya. Lena, Aunt Sveta. Anya called me this morning. She said she's leaving town and the wedding won't happen. She didn't say much else, only asked me to tell you she's okay." Dennis listened, feeling the situation unraveling fast. Anya hadn't simply disappeared. She had run away from the wedding, intentionally. Maybe she was heading from one bus station to another. "Bus stations," he suggested. "We've already sent people to look." Her father nodded gravely. "But what if she doesn't want to be found?" Dennis wondered silently. Meanwhile, Anya was already far away, in the regional city. She had switched to a train, bound for the capital, staring out the window at endless fields rushing past. For the first time in her life, she was traveling alone so far from home. The train sped into the unknown, and a chilling realization swept over her. She was truly alone. No parents to catch her if she fell. No fiancé to provide security. No familiar faces who knew and loved her. The money she had would last a month, maybe 2 at best. After that, she only had experience from a minor position at her father's company, who would hire her in a big city with no contacts, no recommendations, no experience. What if she couldn't find work? A cold dread tightened her stomach. What if she ended up homeless? What if she got sick? Who would help her? A treacherous thought whispered in her mind. It's not too late to go back, to come up with an excuse, apologize, marry Dennis, and live the life they had planned. But then she remembered herself: simple, straightforward Anya. No, better poverty and uncertainty than a life of wealth filled with humiliation. The train roared onward, into her new life. The carriage was sparsely filled. A grandmother traveling with her grandchildren, a businesswoman carrying a briefcase, a young mother with a baby, ordinary people with their own worries, unaware that the girl among them was a runaway bride. "Miss, are you married?" the elderly woman asked, noticing Anya twisting a wedding ring on her finger. "No," Anya replied quietly, slipping the ring off the ring Dennis had given her at their engagement. "And you used to wear it?" the woman asked gently. "I won't anymore," Anya said. The woman nodded knowingly. "It happens. The important thing is to realize it in time, not after the wedding." If only she knew how close to the truth she was. The train pulled into the capital station at 1 in the afternoon. Anya stepped onto the platform, overwhelmed by the huge crowds. No one here knew her. For the first time in her life, she was truly alone. First things first, she needed somewhere to stay. Anya bought a newspaper filled with ads and began searching for a room to rent. The money she had was what she'd saved for the honeymoon. 2 hours later, she was inspecting a tiny room in a communal apartment on the city's outskirts. "Student?" the landlady asked, a woman in a housecoat. "Yes, I'm here to study," Anya lied without hesitation. "All right, rent's due up front for a month. You can use the kitchen but keep it clean." Anya handed over the money and took the keys. Now she had an address in the big city. The room was tiny, a bed, a table, a wardrobe, and a sink, but the window looked out onto a courtyard where an old linden tree stood. She sat on the bed, finally allowing herself to relax after a long day. Back home, her parents were probably going crazy with worry. And Dennis, was he upset? Or more worried about how to explain the cancelled wedding to the guests? She imagined the restaurant where the celebration was supposed to take place. Tables laid out, flowers, musicians, but none of the main players showed up. Back in her hometown, chaos was unfolding. By 4 o'clock, 40 guests had gathered at the restaurant, all dressed up with presents, eager for the celebration. Dennis stood at the entrance, speechless and unsure what to say. Anya's parents looked equally lost. "Dear guests," Anya's father began, voice heavy, "we have an unfortunate situation. Anya is ill. The wedding will have to be postponed." Whispers broke out in the hall. Sympathy, confusion. What kind of illness comes on so suddenly? Someone asked. The aunt from the groom's side asked cautiously. "Nervous breakdown." Dennis answered quickly. "Doctors say she needs rest." Guests began to leave, leaving behind gifts and promises of help. The musicians packed up their instruments. Waiters started clearing the tables. "What a disgrace," whispered the neighbors. "What really happened?" "They say the bride ran away." From a groom like that, there must have been a reason. Dennis overheard bits of conversations and knew there was no hiding the truth. In a small town, everything comes out sooner or later. That evening he sat alone at home, wondering what to do next. He never called Karina. What was the point of meeting her when all their plans had collapsed? Anya sat on a strange bed in an unfamiliar city, thinking about who she was just yesterday. A happy bride, a beloved daughter, the future wife of a successful man. She had everything any girl could dream of. But today she was a runaway, without money, without work, without a future. Her parents didn't even know if she was alive. Friends thought she was crazy. The whole town was talking about what she'd done. Maybe they're right. She asked her reflection in a small mirror. Maybe I really have lost my mind. But the reflection was silent. Inside, a strange certainty grew. For the first time in her life, she had acted truly honestly. Yes, it was painful and terrifying, but it was real. Tomorrow I'll start looking for a job, she said aloud, and a new life. That evening Anya decided to explore the city. She wandered through the glowing streets of the evening capital. Store windows sparkled, people hurried by, cars zoomed past. Life pulsed all around her, and no one cared about her story. She stepped into a small cafe and ordered tea with a pastry. At the next table sat a girl about her age, reading a job listings newspaper. Looking for work? Anya asked. Yes, for a week already. It's not easy to find a job in a big city. I just arrived too. I'll be looking as well. From a small town. Things didn't work out there. The girl nodded sympathetically. It happens. The important thing is not to give up. There are more opportunities here. Anya finished her tea, said goodbye to her new acquaintance, and returned to her room. Tomorrow a new life would begin. She had to find a job, get used to the city, forget the past. She lay down on the unfamiliar bed and looked out the window. Lights from airplanes blinked in the sky. Far away, there was the home where her family loved her and waited for her also. Left behind was Dennis, who had lied to her for 3 years. Tears streamed down her cheeks, not from pity, but from relief. She would no longer live a lie. It might be hard and lonely, but it would be honest. Tomorrow, the job search would begin. Tomorrow, real life would begin. For now, Anya fell asleep to the sounds of the big city that had become her new home. She woke to unfamiliar noises, cars humming outside, a dog barking somewhere, radio playing in the next room. She opened her eyes and for a moment didn't know where she was. Then it all came back, the small room in a shared apartment. The new life in the big city. Her first thought was of home, a habit from 3 years of waking up thinking of Dennis, wondering what he was doing, what he was thinking. But now those thoughts brought only pain. She forced herself to get up and walk to the window. The clock showed 7 a.m. at home. Her mother was probably cooking breakfast and her father reading the newspaper. She wondered if they had slept at all. That nights probably calling everyone they knew, hoping to find some clue. A familiar weight settled in her chest. Guilt. They didn't deserve this. Loving parents who had cared for her all her life. And she had just disappeared without explanation. But how could she explain what she didn't fully understand herself? They will forgive, she whispered like a prayer. Someday they will understand and forgive. Outside, life was already bustling. The janitor swept the paths, a woman hung laundry. Children ran off to school. No one knew her story. No one looked at her with sympathy or judgment. It was both a relief and a frightening loneliness in the hallway. She met a neighbor, a woman around 30, dressed in a business suit. New here, she smiled softly. I'm Marina. What's your name? Anya. I just moved in yesterday. I see. If you need anything, just ask. I work at an advertising agency. I know how hard it is to get used to a new city. Anya studied Marina carefully. Confident stride, business suit, laptop in hand. This was a modern, independent woman, someone Anya had never been before. Always sheltered first by her parents, then by Dennis. Thanks. By the way, where can I buy newspapers with job listings? Around here, newspapers. Nobody uses those anymore. Everyone looks online now. There are special websites. I can give you the addresses. Anya froze. Back home, jobs were found through connections or local papers. Here, everything was different. Suddenly she realized how out of touch she was after spending 3 years in her father's company. I don't have internet at home, she admitted, feeling like a country bumpkin. Internet cafes are on every corner, or the library. It's free there. After breakfast, Anya set out to find a job. Each step felt heavy, fear of the unknown tightening her throat. What if they don't hire me? What if they see how inexperienced I am? What if the salary isn't enough to live on? But, she told herself firmly, I can do this. I have to. Her first stop was the nearest internet cafe. A young guy behind the counter showed her how to use the job sites. What's your education? He asked, helping her fill out a form. Economics. I worked 3 years in the family business. There are plenty of options. Manager, secretary. Just make sure your resume looks good. Within an hour, Anya had sent out a dozen applications. Her hands trembled with excitement. For the first time in her life, she was looking for a job on her own. At home, Dad just said, come work at the city hall, help with paperwork, and for 3 years, she did just that simple .com work under her parents' protection. Now everything was different. She had to prove herself to strangers. Suddenly, Anya realized how little she knew about real work, about fighting for her place in the world. What if no one wants me? The thought hit her like a cold wave. What if I really am as simple as Dennis said? But then another thought sparked inside her. No, I will show everyone what I'm capable of. 2 hours later, the phone rang. Anya Petrovna. This is Progress Advertising Agency. You applied for our client manager position. Can you come for an interview? Her heart raced. Her first real interview, cold sweat broke out. What if I fail? What if they find out I'm a runaway bride with no real experience? When is good for you? Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Here's the address. Anya scribbled the address with trembling hands. Tomorrow, her fate in this new city would be decided. She spent the rest of the day preparing, but her thoughts kept drifting home. How were her parents? How was Dennis explaining things? She got a haircut, bought a smart blouse, rehearsed everything she knew about management. That evening she stood long before the mirror, practicing answers to tough questions. In the reflection, she saw a pale girl with scared eyes, no sign of the confident businesswoman she was trying to become. Why did you change jobs? That question scared her the most. What could she say? That she ran away from a wedding with a liar, that she discovered the truth about her life and couldn't accept it, that she wanted to grow professionally. In her small hometown, opportunities were scarce. Meanwhile, rumors about Anya's disappearance were spreading like wildfire. They say she's pregnant by another man, whispered the neighbors. I heard Dennis beat her, came another chilling rumor. Double quotes, no, it's not that. Someone else added quietly she was just scared of the responsibility. Young people these days. Dennis wandered through the room, dark and silent, answering questions with reluctance. He couldn't focus on work, his mind kept circling back to that evening conversation. The more he thought about it, the more convinced he became. She had heard everything, and there was another discovery that frightened him even more. He missed her, truly missed her. Not the loyal sister, not the connections through her father, but her laughter, her trusting eyes, the way she found joy in every little thing. Should our son go look for her? His mother suggested softly. Where could she have gone? Anywhere, Dennis muttered. And Karina? Did you tell her what happened? Dennis sighed deeply. He still hadn't called Karina. How could he explain that his fiancée had run away after discovering their relationship, and that he didn't even understand his own feelings anymore? He had no words for her yet. Karina, however, had already found out from friends. Working as a nurse at the local clinic, she overheard patients' conversations. Can you imagine? The daughter just ran away from her wedding on the day itself, disappeared in the groom. They say he's devastated. Such a decent guy, but the girl turned out to be flighty. Karina listened, confused. Dennis claimed he was marrying for convenience, that he only loved Karina. So why was he so broken up? Was he lying to her too? That night, unable to bear it, Karina called him. Dennis, is it true your fiancé disappeared? Her voice was tired, fragile. I don't know what happened. She left a note, said the wedding's off, and she left. Did you look for her everywhere? No sign. Karina was silent, unsure what to say. There was no anger or relief. In his voice, only pain. Dennis, are you upset? Of course, he admitted. 3 years together. But you said you loved me, and yet you were marrying her for convenience. Dennis paused, reflecting. In recent days, he'd realized his feelings for Karina were deeper than he thought. Habit, attachment, maybe even love, they all blurred together. And now with Anya gone, he finally understood what he'd lost. Let's meet and talk, Karina said quietly. Okay, tomorrow morning, by the old linden tree in the park. The next morning, Anya stood before the gleaming glass doors of a downtown office building. Marble floors, mirrored elevators, an atmosphere so sleek and imposing it made her knees tremble. Waves of imposter syndrome crashed over her. What am I doing here? Who am I to apply for a job in such a place? Advertising agency, Progress, 7th floor, she told the security guard, forcing confidence into her voice. Elevator to the right, please. Inside the elevator, Anya stared at her reflection, trying to steady the shaking of her hands. Her crisp blouse, neat hairstyle, subtle makeup made her look professional, but inside she was quaking with fear. I can do this, she whispered. I have to. The agency's modern design stunned her. Glass partitions, computers on every desk, young professionals in sharp suits. Nothing like the cold, official municipal offices she was used to. Here everyone looked so confident, so modern, and she was just a girl from the provinces who, until yesterday, hadn't even known how to write a resume. A woman, about 40, dressed elegantly, approached her. I'm Elena Viktorovna, head of HR. Please come to the conference room. The interview lasted 30 minutes. Anya answered questions about her experience, talked about working in municipal offices, explained why she decided to move to the capital. Every question felt like a test. She feared her inexperience showed too clearly, that she'd reveal herself through uncertain answers. I want to try myself in the big city, gain new experience, she said, striving to sound confident, even as her heart clenched with fear. And why advertising? Elena asked. I like communicating with people, Anya replied softly. In her previous job, Anya often met with clients and she enjoyed it. Elena Viktorovna nodded, making notes in her notebook. Anya tried to read her expression, to guess what the impression she was making. You don't have much experience, but your references are good. Anya was surprised. References from my father. Her heart clenched. That meant her dad knew where she was. We always verify candidates' information. Your father confirmed you're responsible and reliable. So, her father knew where she was, probably figured it out from her work calls but didn't reveal her location. He just gave a recommendation. Even from afar, he protected and supported her. Tears welled in Anya's eyes. Her parents loved her no matter what, even after she had shattered all their plans. When can you start working? Alina Viktorovna asked. Tomorrow, if possible, Anya replied, hardly believing her luck. Then we'll expect you in the office on Monday. 3 months probation. The salary will be small at first, but if you prove yourself, we'll increase it. Anya left the office stunned by her fortune, a serious company with growth prospects. Her first step toward independence was made. Outside, she stopped and suddenly broke down, tears streaming from relief, fear, and the weight of knowing there was no turning back. She was truly starting a new life. On the way home, she stopped at the cafe where she had met the girl looking for a job. The girl wasn't there, but Anya ordered coffee and a pastry to celebrate her small victory. Celebrating something? The waitress smiled. Yes, I got a job. Congrats. Looks like you'll settle here. Anya nodded. Yeah, I think so. Scary but exciting. A new life lay ahead, full of unknowns and possibilities. That evening she called Lena. Anya, where are you? Everyone's losing their minds. Lena, tell my parents I'm okay. I found a job, I'm living fine, but I can't say more. And Dennis, he's terrible now. They say he's looking for you. Anya felt a stab in her heart. Looking for me, why? To bring back the lost. Or maybe he shouldn't look at all. I'm not coming back. Anya, what happened? Why did you run away? Anya stayed silent. She didn't want to tell the truth yet. It was too painful, too fresh. She realized she wasn't ready for marriage. Better to part ways now than suffer later. But you dated for 3 years, Lena reminded her. Sometimes 3 years isn't enough to truly know someone after the call. Anya sat by the window staring at the city lights. Far away was the home where she was loved and awaited. Far away was Dennis, who might now be with Karina, explaining the situation. Was he telling her the bride was fickle and ran away? Or admitting that Anya discovered the truth about their relationship? Maybe he really was upset, realizing he'd lost something important. Anya shook herself. That was the past. She picked up the ring she'd taken off on the train, beautiful, expensive, with a small diamond. Dennis had given it to her, speaking so solemnly about eternal love. Now she knew the price of those words and of the ring. Tomorrow, she'd sell it and buy something useful for her new life, a laptop for work or new clothes for the office. The past must stay in the past. The future begins tomorrow. 3 months flew by like a single day. Anya passed her probation successfully and now worked as a full-fledged manager at the agency. Every morning she woke with the feeling that her life was finally improving. She loved her job, her colleagues accepted her, and her salary allowed her to rent a better apartment. But most importantly, she felt a change inside herself. She was no longer the girl afraid to make decisions and rely on others. Now, she controlled her own life, and it was intoxicating. One Monday morning, Anya sat in the conference room with a new client, discussing a marketing campaign for his restaurant. The client said, "We need to attract families so people come to celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, weddings." Anya added automatically and then froze. The word slipped out on its own, followed by a flood of memories. She saw herself in a white dress, happy and naive. She smelled the spring flowers in the bridal bouquet. She remembered how her heart raced in anticipation of the most important day of her life. The pain was sharp, not sadness exactly, but a grief for lost illusions. Anya realized she didn't miss Dennis. She missed the version of herself that knew how to love and trust so sincerely. Yes, she missed the wedding too. "You have experience organizing wedding events?" the client asked, breaking her reverie. "Some," she answered quietly. She answered cautiously, quickly pulling herself back to the present. After the meeting, Anya sat alone in her office, unexpectedly caught by thoughts of home. Those thoughts came less often now, but when they did, they stirred a complex mix of emotions, a longing for her parents tangled with pride in her independence. Curiosity about what Dennis was doing mingled with relief that she was no longer part of his life. Her phone rang, an unknown number. "Anna Petrovna, this is Roman Sergeyev from marketing. We haven't met, but I saw your presentation on the family restaurant project. I really liked it. Maybe we could discuss details over coffee." Anya recognized Roman's face, tall, handsome, about 30. He always greeted her politely in the hallways, but they had never spoken closely before. The invitation surprised her and made her a little uneasy. After everything with Dennis, she instinctively guarded herself against male attention. "Of course, when's convenient," she replied. They met after work in a cozy little cafe. Roman turned out to be an unexpectedly easy conversationalist. No pressure, no hints, just genuine interest in her work and opinions. "Have you just moved to the city?" he asked. "Yes, 3 months ago, from a small town." Anya was used to that question and usually answered with polite cliches about career ambitions. But something about Roman invited honesty. Maybe it was the fatigue in his eyes, familiar to anyone who's endured serious hardship. "I wanted to start fresh," she said carefully. "I get it. I went through something similar. After my divorce, I moved here and started working at an agency. There was no self-pity or bitterness in his voice, just stating facts. Anya sensed she was talking to someone who had faced pain and learned to live with it. They talked for over an hour. Roman shared about his 7-year-old daughter who lived with his ex-wife and how hard it had been to rebuild his life. Anya listened, realizing how rare it was to speak with someone so open, without hidden agendas or half-dashed truths. At home later, she analyzed her feelings. She liked Roman as a person, but her heart remained silent. It probably wasn't ready to trust. Again, the memories of betrayal were still too raw. Give it time, she told her reflection in the mirror. It will come when you're ready. The next morning, Anya arrived at the office earlier than usual. She wanted to prepare the presentation for the new project while it was quiet. She switched on her computer and dove into work until a knock interrupted her. Anna Petrovna, you have a visitor. Says he's an acquaintance from your hometown. Time seemed to freeze. Slowly, she looked up, her heart pounding. Standing in the doorway was Dennis. The first thing she noticed how much he had changed. His face was gaunt, eyes weary. His expensive suit couldn't hide the toll the last months had taken on him. In his hands was a bouquet of white roses, her favorite flowers, he remembered. Anya felt her carefully constructed calm shatter in an instant. In that moment, she became the girl who once overheard conversations behind closed doors. Feeling her world crumble. No, she commanded herself silently. You're not that girl anymore. You're different. Hi, Anya, he spoke softly, and his voice trembled with uncertainty. Anya forced herself to breathe steadily, fixing her gaze on him, searching, analyzing. Strangely, there was no fear. Confusion, yes, pain, undeniably, but fear, it had vanished. She no longer feared this man, nor the hold he once had over her. How did you find me? Your father eventually told me where you work. It took a lot of convincing. So her father had known all these months, and kept silent, protected her right to start over. Her heart tightened with gratitude. Why did you come? Dennis stepped into her office, cautiously, as if afraid a sudden movement might shatter the fragile air between them. He set the flowers gently on the table. To talk, to explain. A dark, painful wave surged within her. The months of buried hurt and silent processing surged to the surface like a rising storm. Explain what? Her voice suddenly turned sharp-edged, with steel even she didn't expect. That you lied to me for 3 years. That you planned to marry for money. That you were seeing someone else. Dennis turned pale, and Anya knew he had hoped she didn't know everything. You heard that conversation with my parents. Every word. The call to Karina too. She watched as the last flicker of hope drained from his eyes. Hope that he could still twist the truth, smooth the edges. But there was no room left for lies now. In his expression, despair, and something else, regret. Dennis sank into a chair, burying his face in his hands. There was so much exhaustion and pain in that gesture that Anya almost felt pity, but she crushed it quickly. Anya, I can explain everything. No need, she snapped. You already explained so clearly, so honestly to your parents. She remembered every brutal word from that call, each one a dagger. Anya's like a sister, loyal, cheap, convenient. Those words had haunted her in the first weeks of her new life, until she learned to turn pain into power. Look, I said stupid things, but over these months, I realized what? Anya walked to the window. Below, the city pulsed with life. People hurried through the streets, unaware of the storm brewing 7 floors above. That I lost the best match I'll ever have. That loyalty slipped away. That you lost me. Dennis stood, desperation cracking through his voice. Anya realized I love you, truly, deeply. She turned, eyes locking with his. Once, those words would have meant everything. Once she might have forgiven, forgotten, returned to him on any terms. But now she saw a man who had played with her heart for 3 years, who had called her a sister, a simpleton, who thought he could juggle a wife and a mistress. Love. Her laugh was bitter. How sweet. And what about Karina? Did you throw away your true love for a strategic marriage? It's over with Karina, I realized. She's not the one. A strange satisfaction bloomed in Anya. So his perfect romance. That wasn't so perfect once real choices had to be made. And I am the one now, she asked, her voice cool. What changed? My dowry didn't go anywhere. Dennis said nothing. Every word he might offer would only dig the hole deeper. Anya saw him searching for something, anything that might repair the damage, and she felt conflicted. It hurt, yes, but it also felt just. A knock interrupted the tension. Roman entered with a folder of documents. Sorry, I didn't know you had a meeting. I just wanted to confirm. He paused, sensing the charged atmosphere. Roman, meet Dennis, Anya said with a deliberate smile. My ex-fiancé from my hometown. And Dennis, this is Roman, my colleague. She watched them take each other's measure. Dennis realized immediately this Roman wasn't just a colleague. There was too much care in the way he looked at her. Should I come back later? Roman offered. No, stay, Anya said firmly. She wanted Dennis to see this, that her life was full now, full of people who didn't scheme behind her back, who saw her, not as a bargain, but as a person. Anya, wait. Dennis grabbed her hand tightly. Give me a chance to fix everything. Come back home, let's get married like we planned. Anya felt something snap inside her. He still didn't get it. He still believed everything could go back to how it was. Like nothing had happened. Like they could just press rewind, like we planned. She pulled her hand away. You mean according to your plan for my dowry, for the connections? Not for love. I swear I realized I love you. I only understood it when I lost you. How convenient, she said flatly. Anya looked at him and thought about the long road she had walked these past few months. She had learned how to live on her own, how to make decisions without fear, how to embrace change, but he hadn't changed at all, still trying to reclaim what he thought belonged to him. Dennis, she said firmly, I'm no longer that girl who believed every word you said. I've learned a lot about myself, about life. And what exactly have you learned? That I deserve more than being someone's bargain. That I want to be loved not for my father's status or my mother's money, but for who I truly am. The words carried all the pain of the past months, all the disappointment, and all the strength she had gained. And as she said them, Anya realized she wasn't just speaking to him, she was speaking to herself, like a vow never to settle again. But I love you, Dennis insisted. You say that. But it's too late. 3 years ago, when you proposed, you said beautiful things then too. But behind the charm, you were calculating what you could gain. Dennis stepped back, and in that moment, Anya saw something shift in his eyes. He finally understood he had lost, for good. So that's it, no second chance. Anya looked at him, long and steady. Strangely, she didn't feel anger anymore, just sadness for what could have been. If he had been someone else, if she had still been the kind of woman willing to close her eyes to lies for the sake of comfort. No, Dennis, there's no second chance. I've changed. You haven't. We don't belong to the same world anymore. He glanced toward Roman. He's from your world now. Anya turned her eyes to Roman.com. Reliable, honest, the kind of man she had dreamed of. But more than that, he had never tried to change her. He hadn't made plans behind her back. He hadn't treated her like an investment. Maybe she replied softly, but that's no longer your concern. Dennis understood it was over. He picked up the flowers from the table, a silent gesture, the final symbol of everything he had brought, hoping to win her back. Everything he would now take with him then. Take care, he murmured and turned to leave. Dennis, Anya, called out. He stopped. For a fleeting second, hope flickered in his eyes. Send my regards to your parents, she said, and find someone who'll love you for real. You deserve that. There was no cruelty in her words, only closure, real, irreversible closure. As Dennis stepped out, Anya felt something release inside her, a quiet space opening for new emotions, a new life. She sat down, her hands trembling, slightly. The world she had built so carefully over the last month had been shaken, but it hadn't collapsed. She had faced her past, and stayed true to her new self. Roman came over and gently poured her a glass of water. Tough conversation, he asked kindly. Very, but it had to happen. She felt a quiet gratitude toward him. He could have walked away, given her privacy, but he didn't. He stayed, sensing she needed someone there. Want to talk about it? Maybe, she said, but not now. Right now I need to work. Work, her refuge, a place to focus on the present instead of the painful past or the imagined future. Of course. And tonight, if you'd like, we can grab dinner. Just talk. No pressure. Thank you, Roman. That's very kind. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Anya moved through her tasks mechanically, but her thoughts kept circling back to that moment with Dennis. Strangely, she didn't feel regret, or even bitterness, just sorrow, for the time she spent believing in fairy tales, and relief, because it was truly over now. The loop had finally closed. The past had let her go, and now at last she was free. That evening, she told Roman everything. About the overheard conversation, the escape, the silent, difficult months of building a new life in a new city. I understand, he said quietly. It must have been excruciating to learn the truth, Romain said quietly. It was, she admitted. But now I'm grateful I found out before the wedding, not after. Anya stared out the window, watching the shadows of the evening city stretch across glowing storefronts and rushing cars. Her mind drifted. She'd imagined the life she could have lived 3 months ago if she hadn't summoned the strength to walk away. A happy marriage, but one built on lies. Children born without love. Years of pretending and silent compromises. Do you regret it? He asked gently. Anya shook her head slowly, her gaze still fixed on the world outside. Not for a second. I've become the woman I always wanted to be, independent, self-sufficient. If I ever marry again, it'll only be to someone who loves me for who I truly am. Romain smiled, and in his eyes, she saw something warm, steady, hopeful. And do you think, he asked, carefully, that such a man might ever come into your life? She turned to him, studying his face. There was no pressure in his expression, just a quiet invitation. No demands. No expectations. Maybe, she whispered. But I'll need time, a lot of time. I have time, he said without hesitation. And for the first time in months, something stirred inside her. A feeling she had buried long ago. The sense that maybe, just maybe, the future didn't have to be feared. That happiness, real happiness, might not be out of reach. After all, it had been a year since Dennis walked out of her office with a bouquet of white roses in his hand. A year that Anya would later call the most important of her life, not because it was easy, but because that was when she finally became herself. Her connection with Romain had unfolded slowly, delicately. He seemed to understand that pushing too fast would only drive her away. The scars from the past still throbbed with every breath. They met often, talked for hours, went to cafes, the theater, walked aimlessly through the city, and Anya, always vigilant, watched him, measured his words, tested his truth. The fear of betrayal never left her fully. For months it haunted her like a silent shadow. When he brought her flowers, a whisper in her mind questioned if he'd just bought them on a whim. When he called late at night, another voice wondered, was there someone else? Was he hiding something? You're tearing yourself apart with suspicion, she would say to her reflection in the mirror. Not every man is like Dennis, but Romain was steady, transparent. When he saw his ex-wife to pick up his daughter, he told her. When work drained him, he didn't pretend to be fine. He shared his worries, his bad moods, his real self. And in that honesty, there was something so rare, so disarming, that Anya often found herself doubting it. Could it really be that simple? 6 months ago he'd proposed not with a ring in a fancy restaurant, but during a quiet walk in the park. Anya, he had said, I want to marry you. Not now when you're ready, but I need you to know what I feel. She had burst into tears. Tears of release, of relief, of fear. Life, it seemed, was offering her a second chance. And, for the first time, she believed it. I need time, she had whispered. We have all the time in the world, he had answered now. 1 year later she was returning to her hometown for the first time. Her mother called every week, trying to gently coax updates from her. Her father rarely spoke, but the relief in his voice each time they spoke said enough. His daughter was alive, if she was healing. Come for my birthday, her mother had pleaded a month ago. We miss you, Anya had hesitated. Going back meant confronting memories, ghosts, but something inside her knew. It was time to close the circle, to make peace with the place that raised her. As the train neared the familiar station, Anya watched suburban houses blur past the window. She stared at the fields, the old stops, everything so unchanged, and yet she felt like a stranger, as if she were flipping through a photo album from a past life. Her parents met her on the platform. Her mother cried. Her father hugged her in silence. They looked older, or maybe she was only just seeing them clearly now, each gray hair, every wrinkle. You've changed, her mother whispered later, studying her in the car. You're stronger, a woman now. Anya smiled. She felt it too. Her voice no longer trembled. Her steps no longer hesitated. She was no longer a girl waiting to be rescued. She had become her own anchor. The house smelled of her mother's pies. The same furniture, the same walls. Nothing had changed. Yet everything seemed smaller, simpler, quieter. She climbed to her old room and froze. Laid out neatly on her bed was that wedding dress. I kept it, her mother said softly. She stepped into the room behind her mother, who said quietly, I thought maybe you'd still want it. Anna reached out and ran her fingers across the silky fabric. The dress was beautiful, expensive. Once, she dreamed of walking to the altar in it. Now it looked like a costume from a play she was no longer part of. Mom, give it away. Or sell it. Let another girl be happy in it. Her mother nodded, understanding without asking more. That evening relatives gathered, aunts, uncles, cousins. They all eyed her with subtle curiosity, like she was a fragile relic pulled from the past. No one asked directly about what had happened the year before, but the air was thick with unspoken questions. Anna lives in the capital now, her mother said with pride. She's doing very well. Works in an advertising agency. And when are you getting married? Aunt Claver asked with a sly smile. When I meet the right person, Anna replied calmly. Aunt Claver sighed. Our Dennis still hasn't married, they say. He's waiting for someone. Anna didn't react. Whether Dennis was waiting or not meant nothing to her now. The next day, she wandered through the streets of her hometown. Everything looked smaller than she remembered. The same buildings, the same faces, the same tired conversations. It was as if time had frozen here, but she hadn't. In just 1 year, she had changed so much that returning felt almost absurd. She walked into a small cafe, the same one where she had once celebrated her first job offer. At a nearby table, a young man was proposing to a woman. The girl was crying from happiness. Anna watched, not with jealousy, but with a gentle sadness. She had been like that once, naive, convinced love would solve everything. Fools, she thought with a faint smile. Sweet, beautiful fools. But there was no bitterness. Everyone has the right to their own mistakes. And their own awakenings. Anna, she turned. Standing by the entrance was Dennis. Next to him a woman with dark hair, Karina. Anna's gaze locked on them. Dennis looked better than she remembered, relaxed, content. Karina clung to his arm like someone who had no intention of letting go. A wedding ring sparkled on her finger. Hi, Anna said neutrally. Mind if we join you? Dennis asked. She nodded. They sat down. An awkward silence followed. This is Karina, my wife, Dennis said. Nice to meet you, Anna said. And, to her surprise, she meant it. Not for their sake, but because, finally, the circle was complete. We got married 6 months ago, Karina added, her voice guarded. She still saw Anna as a threat. Congratulations, Anna said sincerely. I wish you happiness. Dennis studied her face, searching for a trace of pain or regret. Finding none, he relaxed slightly. And you? How are you doing? I'm fine, working, living. Anyone special? Anna smiled. A year ago, that question would have thrown her into panic. Now her voice was calm. Yes, there's someone, a good man, very. Will you marry him? There was a flicker in Dennis's voice. Not jealousy, just curiosity. Maybe, when I'm ready. Karina stiffened. Anna noticed. She still felt threatened by the past. But Anna leaned in slightly. You don't have to worry. There was never anything real between me and Dennis. We just didn't fit. What do you mean nothing real? Karina asked, her voice rising. You were together for 3 years. Yes, Anna said softly. 3 years playing pretend. I played the girl in love. He played the perfect fiancé, but neither of us was truly ourselves. Dennis remained silent. He knew she was right. And now, both of you finally get to be yourselves. Anna continued. That's a beautiful thing. She stood up to leave. Anna, Dennis called after her. I wanted to say, I'm sorry for everything. She turned around. There was something in his eyes she hadn't seen before. Genuine remorse. Maybe. For the first time ever. There's nothing to forgive, she replied. You taught me the most important lesson of all, not to settle for less than I deserve. You're not angry, he asked. Was she? A year ago, yes. Even 6 months ago, maybe. But now, no, she said simply. I'm grateful. For what? For not being the man you pretended to be. If you had been perfect, I would have stayed in this small town forever, thinking I was happy. But because of you, I found out who I really am. Dennis gave a faint nod. Words failed him. Be happy, Anna said, and walked out of the cafe outside. She inhaled deeply. The air felt different, lighter, like she had taken off a heavy backpack she'd been carrying for too long. The past had finally let her go. That night, she called Roman. How are you? How was the meeting with your past? He asked softly. So, everything's okay. Better than okay, she replied, her eyes brightening. I realized something important. What's that? That I'm ready for the future. Our future. There was a pause. Then, in a voice barely louder than a whisper, but filled with quiet joy, he said, Does that mean? Yes, she interrupted gently. Yes, it means yes. The next morning, Anya was leaving for home, back to the big city, back to her job, and back to Roman. Her parents stood beside her on the station platform, holding her close. Will you come visit again? Her mother asked. Of course, Anya smiled. But next time, I won't be alone. I want you to meet Roman. Is he a good man? Her father asked, eyes searching hers. Anya paused. Is Roman good? Is he perfect? No. He wasn't perfect. He had his flaws, his oddities, his weaknesses. But he never pretended otherwise. He didn't hide behind a mask. He was real. And that, she thought, is what matters. Her father nodded silently, as if he'd heard her thoughts. The train pulled away, slowly at first, then faster. Anya stared out the window, watching the familiar streets grow smaller, until they faded into the distance. So much had changed. Just a year ago, she had run from this place like it was on fire. Today she was leaving it calmly, at peace with the past. Her phone buzzed. A message from Roman, waiting for you at home. Home. Not just a place anymore. Now it was wherever he was, where their shared future lived, a future with laughter, struggles, children, and truth. A place where she could be herself, not perfect, not always easy to love, but honest, raw, and real. Outside the window, fields, forests, and little stations blurred by. Ahead of her lay the big city, again a city of opportunities and tests, but this time she wasn't afraid. This time she was going towards something, not running away. From her bag, Anya pulled a small box, a simple ring. No diamonds, no luxury, just beauty and simplicity. She'd chosen it yesterday, quietly, in a little local jewelry shop, a gift for Roman, a symbol of something deeper than words, a silent promise. I choose you, not for a moment, for a life. In a glass reflection, she saw her own face, come certain, no longer a girl lost in doubt, but a woman who knew what she wanted and wasn't afraid to fight for it. The train sped forward, slicing through the land like time itself, and Anya sat still, holding onto the tiny box with steady fingers. She was moving toward the unknown. Yes, but for the first time in a long time she knew she was heading in the right direction. Let us know what you think. Did Anya make the right choice when she walked away from that wedding? Could you be brave enough to start over completely? Your likes and subscriptions keep stories like these alive. Take care of yourselves. And don't forget, you deserve happiness, too.